Imagine waking up to find your entire city, homes, streets, temples, vanished without a trace. Not sacked, not burned, not rebuilt, but simply, gone. How does an entire civilization disappear? Where do these lost cities go? And why does history sometimes seem desperate to erase their stories from the map? Today, we're peeling back the layers of dust and time to reveal the secrets of history's lost cities. Civilizations that vanished, leaving behind more questions than answers. Welcome to History Owl. Let's start with a city that once rivaled Rome itself, Palenque. Deep in the jungles of southern Mexico, this Maya metropolis flourished for centuries. Imagine its white stone temples gleaming under the tropical sun, priests chanting atop steep pyramids, and artists carving glyphs that recorded every triumph and every disaster. But by the 9th century, the city was dead. The jungle crept in, swallowing palaces and plazas alike. For over 1,000 years, Palenque was lost to the world, its very existence doubted by many. Was it drought? War? Some say a curse. Archaeologists are still deciphering the clues, but here's the real shocker. Palenque is just one of dozens of Maya cities that vanished in a mysterious, civilization-wide collapse. How does a culture that built cities for the ages suddenly hit the reset button? And could it happen again? Now, picture the bustling streets of Pompeii. Merchants hawking wares, children running through forums, life thriving in the shadow of Mount Vesuvius. We all know how this story ends. In a single, cataclysmic afternoon in 79 CE, volcanic ash buried the city, freezing daily life like a snapshot in time. But here's what most people miss: Pompeii wasn't just erased by nature. For centuries, its name was forgotten, its ruins mistaken for mere hills. Only in the 18th century did treasure hunters accidentally rediscover it. How many other cities, buried or overgrown, still wait beneath our feet? And what does it mean that everyday Roman life, from graffiti to bakery ovens, survived not because it was celebrated, but because it was hidden? Let's go further back, to a city older than Rome or Athens, in Mesopotamia. Once the capital of a Sumerian empire, was a marvel. Ziggurats spiraling toward the sky, canals teeming with trade, scribes inventing writing itself. But over time, rivers shifted, the land turned salty, and people vanished into history. When British archaeologists uncovered its ruins in the 1920s, they found royal tombs packed with treasures and chilling evidence of mass sacrifice. Why did a city that gave us so much simply fade away? And what does story say about the fragility of even the mightiest civilizations? Now, let's head to the Indus Valley. Imagine a city so precisely planned that every street ran at perfect right angles, every house had plumbing, and a grand bath stood at its center. This was Mohenjo-Daro, a jewel of the Indus civilization 2,000 years before Rome. Yet, sometime around 1900 BCE, its people walked away. No armies stormed the gates, no disaster struck. They just left. Was it climate change? Social upheaval? Disease? The answer remains one of archaeology's greatest mysteries. And get this. The Indus script, written on clay seals and amulets, remains undeciphered. The voices of Mohenjo-Daro are still locked away, waiting for someone to break the code. But lost cities aren't just relics of the ancient world. Consider Cahokia, in what is now Illinois. 1,000 years ago, this was the largest city north of Mexico, bigger than London at the time. Mounds rose like pyramids above the prairie, supporting a culture of farmers, artisans, and traders. Then, around 1350 CE, Cahokia emptied out. The reasons remain debated: overhunting, flooding, political strife? For centuries, American settlers dismissed the mounds as natural hills, unwilling to believe that complex civilizations once thrived on this land. What stories would we tell if Cahokia had survived? Let's cross the Atlantic to the coast of West Africa and the city of Great Zimbabwe. By the 14th century, its towering stone walls enclosed a thriving trade hub, connecting Africa to Arabia and China. Yet by the 16th century, Great Zimbabwe was abandoned. When Europeans stumbled upon its ruins, they refused to believe that Africans could have built such grandeur, spinning wild theories about lost tribes and foreign kings. Only in the 20th century did historians set the record straight. Great Zimbabwe is a powerful reminder. Sometimes, cities disappear not just from the landscape, but from history itself, erased by prejudice and myth. But what about cities we know only from whispers? Atlantis, the city beneath the waves, still grips our imagination. Was it real, or just a cautionary tale? Plato described Atlantis as a powerful, doomed civilization swallowed by the sea. For centuries, explorers and dreamers have searched for its ruins, from the Mediterranean to the Caribbean. While no concrete evidence has ever surfaced, the legend serves a purpose. It warns us of the hubris that can topple even the mightiest societies, and of the allure of what we can never quite prove. Sometimes, cities vanish not because of disaster or decay, but because they're deliberately erased. Take Akhetaten, the capital founded by Egypt's heretic pharaoh Akhenaten. In a radical experiment, he abandoned the old gods, built a new city in the desert, and ruled with his queen Nefertiti. But after his death, priests and politicians dismantled Akhetaten stone by stone, trying to wipe it from memory. For centuries, it was as if the city, and its controversial king, had never existed. Yet the ruins and the haunting portraits of Akhenaten's family survived to tell a different story. Can you really erase a city from history? Or does the truth always find a way to return? Let's journey to the high Andes, where Machu Picchu clings to mountaintops in the clouds. Built by the Inca, never found by the Spanish, it was abandoned and left to the jungle until its discovery by Hiram Bingham in 1911. But the local Quechua people always knew it was there. Proof that lost is often in the eye of the beholder. Machu Picchu still guards its secrets. Why was it built? Why was it abandoned? And how did its builders move stones weighing tons across impossible terrain? Not all lost cities are silent. In the Cambodian jungle, Angkor was once home to 1 million people, one of the largest cities on earth. Its temples, like Angkor Wat, are masterpieces of stone. But after centuries of glory, Angkor fell to drought, invasion, and the relentless march of jungle vines. When French explorers discovered Angkor in the 19th century, they could scarcely believe such a city had ever existed. Today, satellite images reveal hidden roads and canals, suggesting that Angkor's story is far from finished. What else lies buried beneath the trees? Now, let's talk about a city whose very existence was a state secret. Pripyat, in Soviet Ukraine. Built in the 1970s to house workers for the Chernobyl nuclear plant, Pripyat was a model city, until the disaster in 1986 forced its evacuation. Today, it stands frozen in time, a modern-day Pompeii, haunting and eerily intact. Unlike the ancient cities we've explored, Pripyat's story unfolded in living memory. Do we learn more from ruins that are thousands of years old, or from those we can still reach out and touch? And then there are cities that disappear beneath the sea. Off the coast of Egypt, the city of Thonis Heracleion was once a bustling port, now submerged by earthquakes and rising tides. Divers have found statues, temples, and even ships resting on the seabed. Every artifact recovered is a time capsule, a reminder that the boundary between land and water is as fragile as the fate of any city. But what about the cities that have left no trace at all? The legendary city of El Dorado, the golden metropolis that drew conquistadors deep into the Amazon, remains a tantalizing myth. And yet, recent discoveries of ancient earthworks and settlements suggest that the rainforest may once have supported vast civilizations, now hidden beneath a green sea of leaves. Why do cities disappear? Sometimes it's war, a conqueror's torch reducing libraries and temples to ash. Sometimes it's climate, rivers drying up, floods sweeping away homes, forests turning to desert. Sometimes it's politics, rulers determined to erase their rivals, or societies collapsing under their own weight. And sometimes it's simply the slow, relentless passage of time, as people drift away and nature reclaims what was built. But here's a twist. Some cities vanish from history not because they fall, but because they're erased from our memory. Think of Nineveh, once the glittering capital of the Assyrian Empire, its libraries filled with cuneiform tablets. When the city fell in 612 BCE, its enemies tried to obliterate every trace. For centuries, even its location was forgotten. Only in the 19th century did archaeologists dig up its ruins, unearthing stories that had lain buried for over 2,000 years. Imagine how many more tales wait to be rediscovered. And what about the stories we get wrong? For years, historians believed the lost city of Troy was pure legend, a tale spun by Homer, not a real place. Then, in the 19th century, a German businessman named Heinrich Schliemann unearthed its walls in modern-day Turkey. Suddenly, myth became reality. How many more mythical cities are out there, waiting to surprise us? Let's not forget cities that disappear not with a bang, but a whimper. Ani, once known as the City of 1,000 Churches, stood on the Silk Road, a beacon of Armenian culture and faith. But invasion after invasion, earthquake after earthquake, left Ani in ruins. Today, it sits on the edge of Turkey, its empty cathedrals silent witnesses to centuries of glory and grief. Or consider Hattusa, the capital of the Hittite Empire. For centuries, its location was lost, its people remembered only in the Bible and in the legends of their rivals. When archaeologists finally uncovered its gates and temples, they found thousands of clay tablets, letters, treaties, prayers, that brought an entire forgotten civilization back to life. Lost cities are more than piles of rubble. They're reminders that nothing is permanent, not power, not glory, not even memory. They force us to ask, what will future historians find of our own civilization? Which of our cities will be remembered, and which will be lost to time? Every lost city is a puzzle. Sometimes, all we have are rumors and ruins. Sometimes we piece together clues from ancient texts, satellite images, or the stories of local people. But with every discovery, the past becomes a little less distant, and the line between legend and reality blurs. What draws us to these vanished places? Is it the thrill of mystery? The hope of treasure? Or the enduring human urge to understand where we came from, and where we might be headed? Maybe, deep down, we recognize ourselves in these stories of rise and fall, creation and loss. So the next time you hear about a city that vanished without a trace, remember, it's not just about what was lost. It's about what survives, the art, the stories, the lessons etched in stone and memory. Lost cities are history's greatest riddles, and every answer leads to more questions. If you enjoyed exploring these mysteries with us, don't forget to subscribe to History Owl for more journeys into the hidden corners of the past. What lost city fascinates you most, and what secrets do you think still lie buried? Share your thoughts in the comments, and keep searching, because history is never truly lost.